More so contains invest. We talk about investing, finance, and professional development. For today's tips only, the investment we're going to talk today will be ETH. It's my second posting of today. Respect to recording time of 2:21 p.m. on Eastern Time. Ethereum can trade $4,417, up about 2.72% so far. On the overall crypto market, you could see clearly, in addition to the equity market as well, is rebounding nicely right now. We're experiencing some investment sentiments, demonstrating some strength among the market, right? And respect to Bitcoin and Ethereum, despite the kind of a normalized type of trading on a sideways fashion type of momentum early today, it seems like on the domestic side of the spectrum, investors are buying the dip, right? And which subsequently translate into the current level respectively. And on the altcoin side of the world, you could see that clearly on a percentage perspective, they're leading a little bit more of a upper percentile in terms of surge, which makes sense, right? Because of the entry price level sensitivity is a lot lower in comparisons to, Bitcoin, which is obviously demanding $58,000 per coin, and Ethereum demanding $4,400 per coin, right? So altcoins are more prone to volatility on an upside sentiment today. And on the crypto side, we can see clearly as well, as of today, with respect to SPY up about close to 1%, Nasdaq's up about 2%, SPY's up about on the S&P 500 respectively, it's up about 2% as well. And on the news front, let's just take a look at it real quick, shall we? And I'll say collectively, it's not as how would you say, in terms of quantity, it's not a lot, but in terms of quality, there are some that are, more important than others. But some, I would say, collectively, is more just like recurring, reminding news / trivial, if you may, right? So the first one's on Bazinga about 1 hour ago, talk about why Coinbase stock could rip amid Bitcoin Ethereum rally and general market strength and revival. So this is basically talking about with respect to the technicals. On Coinbase, which, we don't really talk about equity, but let's just take a look at Coinbase, shall we? It seems like we are reviving, and you can see that the Coinbase stock is very comparable in terms of like how Bitcoin, how Ethereum are trading. If you look at it, it's still like that surge and this normalization and this upward surge again. So there's a direct correlation on Coinbase. I don't know what this is, indicator setting. But it seems like right now we're at a normalized level right now. We formed that dip at the bottom of the $300, which is a critical level of substantive resistance level. If you look into it, it's basically matching when we were selling off post the IPO time period. And that is like basically a bunch of consolidation here, one consolidation here, and then a bunch of consolidation there as well, right? However, if we break this current level of the, go below 300, we have a long way to go to the 276, which we haven't got there in a while. But right now at a neutral level because of the elongated drag, we are at an okay level to incur some risk right now. I don't know what that means to rip, but to rip is, really contingent on if Ethereum or Bitcoin is going to be ripping, right? Which is something we'll keep an eye out on. So the next news on Bazinga, and again on 3 hours ago, talk about Rich Dad Poor Dad author, which is Robert Kiyosaki. In case you guys read that book as well, is one of the New York Times bestseller. One of the first books that I started reading when I was learning about finance and learning about asset appreciation as well. It's an interesting book to read, but I would say it's a little bit outdated maybe. But on a fundamental perspective, I definitely understand the concepts of, increasing your personal investments by appreciating liability versus leaning more towards in comparisons to most people, right, incur more liability, if you may, right? So it's a book that is fundamentally in a conceptual level resonates with me, and I think as one of the beginners books for you guys to read. If you guys are interested in learning about financial appreciation or just building wealth in general, I think that's a good fundamental foundational book for you to acclimate yourself with, right? And with this article, he's basically saying that he's buying more Bitcoin and Ethereum to combat inflation. So interesting point of view. He is not really a subject matter expert in terms of financial assets. He's not like a money manager or an asset manager. He's more of a personal investor and author. He's a public figure. But it's interesting that he's stepping up on giving the stamp of approval to Bitcoin and Ethereum, and with his personal money as well. And then next one's on CNBC about 9 hours. So we'll talk about Bitcoin climbs back above 57,000 as cryptocurrencies rebound from sell-off. Right now we're at the $58,389 for Bitcoin respectively. So we'll dive into the technicals in a bit to see how that's going to be trending. And then next one on Bitcoinist, talk about same thing again with respect to more of a reminding news on this week's in coins, right? ALGORAND sinks Bitcoin, which is ALGORAND is the COVID variants, the third one, right? The third wave, to 53,000, while Ethereum falls below 4,000, right? I know on several different platforms, Ethereum dipped below 3,900. I think the last couple of days to 3,850 on selective platform, and I know some of you guys actually bought the dip. I bought at around 4,050, 4,040 ish dollars to Ethereum exactly. And I know we are generally, making some gains right now, which is great for all of us. So congratulations to the ones that bought the dip or took logical risks, if you may, right? And with respect to the technical, let's just dive right into it. That was the last news that's really worth mentioning. The other news are really just talking about some other stuff that is really not related. I mean, the last news that's really talking about is with respect to Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey. It seems like he's stepping down as a CEO. Non-confirmatory in terms of what's the rationale behind it right now, but I'll keep you guys updated on in terms of what's going to be going forward, right? But he's going to still stay as a Square CEO. But Twitter, I think he's probably maybe diversifies his time, focusing more specifically on, as you know, Square or some other initiatives that he's doing. I don't really know. So right now, Ethereum is reviving, as you can see clearly. We are again right at the 50-ish something on the RSI scale, 52.53 out of 70. So we're at okay level right now. We are fusing together on a MACD versus signal line, which is great because of the revival, the rebound. So what we need to do right now is basically for us to form that cup and handle, right? If we can even sustain to form that cup and handle. So what will technically, require us to do is basically, obviously, we don't just go up in one shot, right? Not just like go up in one shot like the way that we're seeing today. We need to consolidate a little bit, and eventually we get up to the, all-time high, the 4,871 first. As we break that, we'll obviously consolidate a little bit, right? And then we dip a little bit, and then we'll subsequently revive and reoccur that rally that we are expecting, right? I know some people on Wall Street are saying that 6,500 is the next surge based on the Fibonacci level. I think that's logical if we have a cup and handle, right? But right now we don't really have anything confirmatory yet. We're still in head and shoulder pattern, so we have to watch how we will be progressing going forward. We are at a normal level, so not really overbought or oversold, so it could go either way. But I think, because of the rebound and some of the catalysts that we should be expecting going forward would be the CPI report that's coming out, right? The COVID variants progression, how's that's going to be progressing going forward. That's something we'll triangulate in between, right? And also the job numbers that Jerome Powell, after his second nomination, he still has that mandate that he's to, work on, right? So that's something we will tactically look into to see how we're progressing so far. But the dip was definitely during the weekend, right? When we saw that surprise from the COVID variants news that broke out on Friday and subsequently durate until the Saturday and Sunday, and the rebound happened late Sunday, right? So, incurring logical risk at that time was the perfect thing to do, and that's why exactly what I did 2 days ago. So Bitcoin right now is doing the same thing. We're slowly forming a curvature, so that means we will have some room to leap up to if we form that golden cross. But can we leap up all the way to the 70K again? That's a long way to go. Like, that's $11,000 of surge from here, and that will incentivize us to get a cup and handle. So that will be a cup, right? Which will form the rim. Rim is basically at the all-time high, and then the handle will be a dip and then subsequently surge up again, right? Dogecoin right now at the 21. So again, right, the 21 to the let me just close up a little bit, to 1950 was the dip. And I know some of you guys actually bought the dip on Dogecoin. And I think it's still logical. I think we are slowly forming a golden cross, which is good. But ultimately, it's going to be dragged by Bitcoin. So we see how that goes. Cardano is doing the same thing again. We are a little bit more oversold in comparison. So Cardano is still a good buy, actually, despite the surge that we're seeing right now, or like normalization, if you may. 141 was definitely a dip, right? Below anything 145 was oversold crazy, right? We were at where? 26 out of 70, so you know what that means. We're way below oversold. So the smart ones actually bought in, and I know some of you guys actually took that logical risk to do so. Solana right now is up about 11%, so ideally I'll just wait off until we cool back down to somewhere around like the 157, 133 to 113 from here. XRP right now is attempting to go up to 101. We'll see how that goes, because that's a relatively substantive level. And the dip was basically at the 88, right? We were extremely oversold, but despite that level, XRP is still a buy because we're still at the relatively oversold level. Polkadot is up about 9.10% so far. Again, 33 to the 26 is still the level to dollar cost average at the 40 out of 70 right now. But Polkadot is not as bullish in comparisons to other coins for some reason. So we'll see how that goes, because of the fact that the curvature is still like a little bit more separated in comparisons to the other ones. So we'll see how that goes for Polkadot. It's kind of trading on the separation, less bullish in comparisons to the other charts that I'm seeing right now. Algorand's up about 10% right now. We are forming a golden cross slowly, but can we actually get there? We'll see how that goes, because we are facing a relatively strong resistance level at the 185 or the 187, the highest. Basically try to get to 190. If we get to 190, we will have some large surge, and because the golden cross will be formed. And I think that's possible, but right now, would I be incurring some risk right now? Probably not. I'll probably, wait for this to cool back down again, because we're like at the normal level again. The dip was basically at 155 to 160 to 152, right? That's the level I kept saying. Shiba Inu is up about 10%, 11% right now. Again, right? Still bearish. We are still at the okay level, not the best, like 57 out of 70. So ideally, dollar cost average somewhere around like the 2750 or the 2800 to the 900 is still the frame that I would dollar cost average at. So respect to risk management level, these are the levels I would ideally dollar cost average at. Again, right, we are at levels that we have identified here already. So feel free to incur risk at your own risk aversion, obviously, right? Ultimately, this is what I am doing because of my personal holding and my personal preference, right? So I'm not perfect, and I'm not saying that this is the only way to do it. I'm just telling you what I'm doing as a reminder to myself, right? So hopefully this is helpful in terms of what I'm doing, on how I'm going to try triangulating these factors that we have on a macro and a micro perspective. Let me know how it can be helpful. And yeah, so feel free to give me a shout if you have any specific questions. And stay tuned for the club. Take care. Bye.